Hello. Um, this is my student ID, just in case you needed to see that. Um, my um my my paper in my PowerPoint presentation is on drug abuse and deaths at concerts, raves, and festivals. Okay. So, concerts, raves, and festivals. So, concerts, raves, and festivals are usually events where music is performed for fans, and it's done by like artists. Um, Many of these events usually sell alcohol, and it's really prevalent there. Drugs are really prevalent in a lot of these events. It could be any kind of drug, weed, MDMA, cocaine, ketamine. Like it's really any kind of drug, anything most people get their hands on, they'll do it. Sadly. um, yeah, alcohol is definitely a big one. It's a picture of a concert. Looks like a rock concert. Uh, so many injuries do occur at these these concerts. Um, they're usually different causes. The main thing when doing my research that I found that was causing a lot of these deaths and injuries is mosh pits and aggressive behavior, poor safety precautions, and drug usage. On top of that, it's like just a I don't know, like a sprinkle on top to all these other things that could also affect it. Okay, so you might be wondering what a mosh pit is. So a mosh pit is just like a really aggressive form of dancing where everybody's like just pushing, shoving, hitting each other, and it's usually like really in really crowded areas, and it causes people to like get hurt because you get trampled, you get pushed off, you get pushed to the ground, you get hit, and it's honestly really dangerous. But it's become like a staple to a lot of these the culture, like concert culture, because artists support it. They encourage it almost. They say, okay, everybody get hyped, let's do it, and then everybody goes crazy, and then they literally are going crazy, pushing each other, hitting each other, and then alcohol adds to the aggressiveness. Also, I mean, you've seen people on alcohol, just really aggressive usually, but also um, other drugs can add to that aggression and also add to uncoordination, making people fall on the ground, making people trip easier, making people get hurt easier. It's pretty bad sometimes. Um, so, um, Many of these events that all these injuries and deaths happen is because of poor safety precautions. So in 1998, this like how do you call it? Like it's kind of like a research group. Just they just did a little research. Um, they were researching a concert, and they recorded 8 deaths that occurred in that one concert and 5,711 injuries worldwide at concerts in 1998, which is pretty crazy. It wasn't just one concert; it was just like all concerts in 1998. 8 deaths and 5,711 injuries. The number has gone up since, as concerts, raves, and festivals have become way more prevalent. And that, um, as previously stated, need to go back. As previously stated, injuries and deaths. I mean, mosh pits becoming and moshing becoming really popular. Um, so Astroworld. So this was an event hosted by a very famous rapper called Travis Scott in November 2021. 10 people died at this festival. Hundreds were injured at the festival, and the main causes of it stated were most was mostly the mosh pits, the aggressiveness, very, very, very crowded. The promoters and everybody running the event, they didn't um, think about how crowded it would get and how dangerous this could be to the people attending the concert and or the festival. It was a festival, and this just led to many people dying from and getting 10 people dying and then hundreds being injured. There's people saying they couldn't breathe, that it was too hot in there, people passing out, like just anything everything was happening. It was like hell on earth almost. um yeah, saw that. So drug usage is a very common thing at these events. Very common drug there in these events is cocaine, right? The most popular one at a lot of these events, especially electronic festivals and concerts like uh, EDM music, it's MDMA. It's probably the most popular drug. Cocaine, though, like overdoses on cocaine has increased from 2012 to 2017 significantly. I'm sure it's still rising too as time goes on. It did drop off before 2012. And in 2016 it hit its highest peak of that recorded time frame. Um, so MDMA usage also very common, and the usage of it has increased more and more as time has passed by, and the culture has evolved. The rave culture has evolved to basically it's like peanut butter and jelly. Rave, MDMA, rave, drugs, cocaine, ketamine, all that. So MDMA, it's a synthetic drug that gives like the feeling of like more energy. It makes like your perception of time and distorted, and it makes you feel like very emotional and a lot of times very happy. Very happy emotions, upbeat emotions. Some people would say it's kind of hallucinogenic, like if you were to take mushrooms. Other names for it's ecstasy or Molly. The most common cause of MDMA related deaths is hypothermia, dehydration, or overhydration. Um, um, and MDMA also raises the user's heart rate and causes their body temperature to rise. For someone with an underlying heart condition or high blood pressure, these effects can be particularly dangerous. So if you have heart problems, shouldn't be doing MDMA. Heart's gonna be blowing up. It's gonna come right out of your chest. But that it does get dangerous. That's even without the MDMA being laced with anything or cut with anything. That's just pure MDMA. What it could do to you. It's still pretty dangerous. And like I said before, this is a common drug at all these events, so it's dangerous. Um, so MDMA is very easily laced and cut with like other drugs, like fentanyl could be other things, more potent things. And this could cause you to overdose. Um, I mean, we all know how dangerous fentanyl can be. Um, and you take your MDMA, you go to this concert, and it's laced with fentanyl, and then even a little bit of fentanyl will kill somebody. So it's very dangerous still, um, especially in like this modern age where like a lot of drugs are just cut with many things, especially these synthetic like drugs that look just like a little pill or whatever, just a little powder, but it could be anything in the powder. So there was this thing called the Rave Act, which basically, to sum it up, it basically made it to where you can't distribute drugs at events like this. You can't host an event like this with the purpose of selling, distributing, or manufacturing drugs of any kind. So, this made it difficult for these events to be really safe and to be able to host them without with the precautions that usually are needed, because like you could have drug testing kits and the they could be seen as almost like you encouraging the use of drugs there, or that you're gonna distribute them there or something because you have the testing kits. So many places won't have the testing kits that are needed to test the drugs that people are already gonna take anyways, to help them from overdosing or anything, or getting laced with anything like fentanyl. Um, this act also made the festival promoters very liable for the drug use that would occur at the festivals. Um, and yeah, um, just made the it's just made the festivals. It's given them a harder time to be able to keep everybody safe, because it seems like they're promoting it, but they're not. They're just trying to keep everybody safe from something that they're probably already going to do. Yes, they have every event usually is forced to have security at the front, check people for drugs, just in case. They don't want any paraphernalia getting in, drug paraphernalia or anything drug related getting in, but it still gets in. And then so they have the testing kits there to make sure people are at least safe, but a lot of the times they don't have the testing kits because of this Rave Act. So no testing kits equals more overdoses, more injuries, and more deaths. Because let's be real, they're not gonna. It's so embedded in the culture now, the rave party culture, that they're not gonna stop taking these drugs. They'd rather take the risk, you know. That's just it's just how it is. Humans are kind of dumb. Okay. Research of incidents while under the influence. So there was a research done at a specific festival in New York, to see, basically, they just were wanting to see how many people got injured, how many people died, and what their toxicology looked like, what was going on there. And like I was saying before, well, not everybody, most people going to these places are going to be taking drugs, taking some sort of something, anything. It could just be alcohol too. It could just be alcohol. But this research proves that a lot, because so out of 22 attendees that had some sort of bad event occur to them and 2 deaths that occurred, 95% of those people had drugs or alcohol in their toxicology, right? Many of those was MDMA, which is probably the most frequent one. This was a rave festival. It's very common at rave festivals. But it just shows that the people are still going to take these drugs. And to help not let them get hurt, testing kits, safety precautions, just anything. And the safety conditions were also pretty poor at this festival too. Not as bad as Astroworld, which had significantly more people get hurt, but 22 attendees, you want to get that number down to 0. So, solutions slash suggestions. So, in regards to fixing the moshing and aggressiveness issue in the culture, it's just the best way to do it is to have police close by, security close by, to help anybody that's injured or anything. And then medical staff for the same reason. There needs to be medical staff on hand. At Astroworld specifically, there were so many people there that the medical staff couldn't even get through the concert to help these people that were passing out or whatever was happening that were injured. They couldn't even get through. That's how a lot of these people died. It's really sad, but that's also an issue with the organizers and everything setting up the concert and how they're setting everything up. They should have you know they should have been more prepared for something like that, and they should have set the place up how it should have been. They also shouldn't have had so many individuals there. Crowdedness is an issue. You can't have so many people at this area. A lot of people that are probably drunk, doing drugs or whatever, moshing, hitting each other, being aggressive. So that's just the best solution for that, in my opinion. Moshing, it's like just become this big thing now. It's gonna be really hard to even just stray away from that. Maybe if people keep getting hurt, people will start doing it less and less because they realize the dangers behind it. But other than that, it's still gonna continue. It's really hard to change the culture without people seeing the negative side to it, and a lot of people don't. So that's why I feel like just being extra prepared. These events need to be extra prepared with everything. That will help people, protect people more. Same thing with the drug overdoses. Having the testing kits there, it's perfect. These people are still going to do the drugs, as shown in these tests before. These research tests that have been done. People are still going to do these drugs. They're going to get hurt, but it's better to have these precautions, these testing kits to make sure people are safe, at least. Have that medical staff on duty to make sure people are safe. Have the police on duty, make sure everything's safe. Good security at the front gate to at least prevent people from bringing the drugs in, personally, I've been to many of these events. Obviously, I don't bring anything in these events. I don't partake in any of that, but I've seen how the security will pat people down. Sometimes they're lazy with it, and anybody can bring anything in. So there just needs to be more security in that measure too. A big thing also is the Rave Act also needs to be changed. They need to change it because before they had added the Rave Act to prevent just these drug operations from happening and prevent like these raves from happening basically. But they're still going on. You're just honestly, what's going on now is it's more dangerous for the people that are taking these drugs. Instead of preventing the drugs from even happening in there, they're just creating a bigger problem and causing people to get more injured. They need to amend the Rave Act is what should happen. That's the best case scenario. Is what should happen is they need to amend it, make it a little bit better. Allow these testing kits more frequently, more easier, and then these events won't be so scared to get sued or whatever and be liable for everything that's going on. Because at the end of the day, these individuals that are going and doing these drugs are going to end up overdosing. Drugs like MDMA still going to be prevalent. Best way to fix it is just to make it safe. These aren't really solutions. These are just more suggestions of what I think should happen. None of these honestly would fix the drug problem. Drug problem's a whole different story in itself. That's a whole different ball game. But it'll help um, lessen the dangers, lessen all these deaths from occurring at these concerts, lessen the injuries, and prevent a lot of these events from being liable for a lot of these injuries because they just won't be happening. Um, a lot of the times the events are liable because of um, the precautions not being there, the poorly organized, and they deserve that. But a lot of things that they do to combat that, though, is the assumption of risk, where it's you just assume that you're going to be hurt. So these places use that so they're not liable. They assume that it's basically whenever you buy your ticket, you assume the risk, but it's not right. That's why they feel like they could do these events sloppily and not worry about if people get hurt, but or die. But that has been changing recently, especially with the Astroworld incident. Um, many people did. The event coordinators were definitely held liable. These are my references, and that's my presentation. Thank you.